Good evening YouTube and welcome back to Let's Play Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark with Pluton. So in the first part we had the brief introduction and the first tutorial battle. In this video I'm going to actually try and focus on the camp menu where you manage your units and particularly the skill trees and various jobs and the job system. This is one of the most fun and interesting elements in the game for me, but it does require a bit of explanation which the game isn't too good on in the early stages, so I think it'll be worth covering that in more detail. However, before we get to that, we'd left off with Reiner making his appearance, so without further ado, he says, "Ladies, there you are. And what's all this? You didn't tell me we were going to a party." "Reiner, at last. Weren't we supposed to meet you an hour ago? We could have used your help with these thugs." Quite well dressed for thugs. "No matter, this gentleman kept us company, and now we'll show you our gratitude by providing him with a nice comfy cell." "You cannot be serious. Do you know who I am?" "I am Lord Alphonse to be precise. A nobleman of the realm. I command you to release me." "Slaying an unarmed man, attempting to eliminate the witnesses to your foul crime, and now resisting lawful arrest? There are limits on the privileges of nobility, as you're about to learn." An arbiter and a simpleton, I see. Very well, let us proceed with the farce if we must. Bring me to the Arbiter's chapter house for my trial." "Are you suddenly struck dumb as well as simple? The Night's Chill does not agree with me. Make haste and escort me to the chapter house, wench." Oh dear, I wouldn't say that. "Reiner, I've decided to make a small detour to Illister. We will personally deliver this nobleman to the main chapter house." "Clever. I wonder how much sway the little lordling has in Illister. Very little, I suspect." "Gather our people and make everything ready. We move at first light." "On it." "Now, to ensure you are comfortable for the trip." Oh, she's getting the handcuffs out. "Outrageous. Simply outrageous. Simmer down or I'll pull out a gag next." Oh dear. No one bothers washing the gags in between prisoners, mind you. Very well. "What about the other one, Captain?" "Just a henchman. We'll drop him off at the local chapter house. No need to cart them both all the way to Illister." "Henchman lives matter." "Let's head for Illister now. I'm sure our eminent guest is eager to get started in his trial." So here we've got the nice world map. This is a bit of a throwback, but it's quite charming. "The journey may be treacherous. We should stop at the local guild here in Gelly and hire more hands for the road. An extra recruit would go a long way." Good advice, Reiner. So, we can move around on the world map here, but first of all I'm going to show the troops menu. So, the tutorial will explain quite a lot, but as you might expect, this is where you manage your troops, level up your abilities, equip your equipment. You'll notice these arrows here on the Kyrie and Anadine. This means that they can level up their skills and their jobs. So into the jobs menu. If I can find how to get back to it. Yes. So under abilities, we've got the way the abilities work is you can set a primary class and a secondary class. The primary class is shown here under the character's name. So this is a mercenary with a mender secondary class. The interesting thing is you can use all of the abilities from both of the classes. Excuse me, but only one counter from either of them. You'll only level up and gain experience for your primary class, so there's quite a bit of decision making to be made in terms of which one you want to use as primary and which one is secondary. So what I have here under my primary class is Warcraft from the Mercenary job, and you see on the right hand side the abilities known here: Field Aid and Forceful Strike. So as I unlock these will all be available to use. And under the secondary class here, it's the Holy Magic from the Mender class. So this is quite interesting. It means that I can use battle skills from the Warcraft skill tree and Holy Magic on the same character, and there's going to be a lot of customization and unusual combinations, shall we say, that you could create if you can come up with creative ideas. So we're able to learn abilities on our main class because we gained AP from the last battle. So I think under the Mercenary here, we'll have a look at the skill tree, and already learned we've got Forceful Strike as the first level ability. Field Aid, this is a heal for 0.6 of mind, which is quite a relatively large amount. That'll heal about a third of HP, but its range is only one tile, so you do need to be next to the target or target self. Now we've got the choice here to learn either Power Strike, which is going to cause damage and inflict attack down. Quite a significant debuff, especially if it's on a high damaging character who's going to be difficult to defeat quickly. This would definitely be worthwhile. And in a similar vein, Mind Strike, which will cause mind down. Now in the early stages of the game there aren't that many casters that I've come across, and also they're going to be usually trying to stay at range, so I don't think this is going to be quite as useful early on, so we'll go for Power Strike. And unlocking the skill there also means that the job has leveled up to the corresponding level in the skill tree, so she now has Mercenary level 3, and that means that the Knight class has been unlocked, so that leads us on quite nicely to explaining the class system. So Kyrie here has started off as a Mercenary with Mender for her secondary class. Now we've just unlocked the Knight here, and you'll see that at the top of the screen it states requires Mercenary 3, so that means you need to level up the Mercenary class to level 3 to unlock this job. So this is quite an interesting progression system. It means you'll need to use all the different classes and level them up to various levels in order to unlock perhaps the class that you want to combine that with. But as we've already said, you'll retain the ability to use any of the classes as a secondary class for the abilities and passives. So I'm not going to change Kyrie's class to a Knight at the moment. She'll go back to level 1 Knight. I think we want to boost her fully through the Mercenary class before we think about changing. But as you can see here, she does have Mender already unlocked, and the possibility for Scoundrel as well, but one of our characters, Reiner, already has that, and I'll speak about that in just a minute. So Kyrie's used up her AP, there's nothing more she can learn. Reiner did not take part in the last battle. Anadine did, so we're also going to level up her class abilities. So she's only level 2, so she'll now learn the Field Aid skill that we were just discussing. This is going to make all of the characters quite versatile in the early game, at least, that at least 2 or 3 of them are going to have a heal ability. I'm going to stick with this for obvious reasons until we have very powerful healers or white mages leveled up. And this is probably one of the bits that the game doesn't explain particularly well. So we'll see here, Anadine is currently a Mercenary. She has Scoundrel and Mender unlocked for her classes, and during battle you will gain primarily the most AP for your first or primary job. However, all of the classes that you've unlocked will gain some AP, so these will go up in in a much slower rate, but they will build AP just for having them unlocked. However, when we go to set abilities, you notice that her secondary class is not actually even set by default. So unlike Kyrie, the game begins with Anadine not having her secondary class. So if you weren't aware of this, you might not be aware that you can instantly assign her a secondary class and gain either the trickery abilities from the scoundrel class or holy from the mender class. This isn't terribly useful, to be honest, unlocking the holy tree, because you only have Panacea 2, which is to remove debuffs. It doesn't give you the heal. However, it's going to come in useful, so we'll certainly equip that. Let's just have a look at Reiner's starting skills. So he is a scoundrel, which is sort of like a rogue. He has the ability to steal money and steal items from the enemy. However, he does have mercenary and mender unlocked. So again, he does not start off with his secondary class equipped. And this is something that cost me quite dearly in the early game, because I did not realise that he could equip his Warcraft to gain Field Aid, to allow him also to perform heals, and Forceful Strike, as I said, can be quite useful in certain situations. So let's get that equipped. And we've got our starting wizard, Virtual. He's not going to have any abilities to learn, but we'll check his subclass. So you can either take Warcraft or Holy Magic. I think we'll certainly start him off on Holy, because he does gain access to heal 1. This is going to mean he's primarily a DPS wizard, but he is going to have a ranged heal, which is going to be extremely useful. Again, failing to explain this to new players is a bit of an oversight. And for Lana, our dedicated healer, we can also provide her with the elementalism, so she's going to have ranged damage spells, which is also going to be extremely useful. So this is going to round out our party quite well. We've got Anadine and Kyrie as our two main DPS slash tank, Reiner as a ranged DPS, and Virtual the Wizard and Lana for healing. Now I say ranged DPS because Scoundrel, although he starts off with just a knife, which would only have an attack range of 1, he can in fact equip a crossbow. Something I did not realise at first, and missed out on a lot of utility from equipping him with the crossbow rather than the knife. Now it is going to have slightly less damage obviously, but the increased range and utility is definitely worth it in my opinion. So without further ado, we'll head to the shop and get him a brand new crossbow. So there's a shop here in Gelly, the starting town. We'll visit this to outfit our characters as much as possible. And I think, as I say, definitely get Reiner a new crossbow. If I remember correctly, this first shop does not have a great range of items at all, only really the same as the starting hat and body piece. No accessories or extra items, so I think all we're going to do there is get Reiner the crossbow. And I should probably point out there's one special item that we start off with in the inventory. Well, two items technically, but one is the old armour. The tooltip here says the only memento left to Anadine from her departed mother. This armour has seen better days. Well, it may have seen better days, but I don't have any other armour which has better stats. As you can see, the defence is almost double what the next item we have, the Traveller's Garb. So I'm going to give this to Kyrie rather than Anadine, although it might suit the story better to have it on Anadine. We're going to use Kyrie as our primary sort of forward unit who's going to try and soak up damage and deal it out. So we'll give her the take this off of Anadine. Give it a Travelling Guard to replace it. And we'll also take this bronze helmet, also has better stats than the fur cap. Oh, for us to do that we'll have to buy a new hat. Shopkeeper's going to get to know as well. So we've got Anadine the fur cap, so I'll transfer the bronze helm onto Kairi. Unfortunately we can't upgrade our weapons at all. I think I will switch Kairi from the axe to the short sword. As you can see, the axe does have slightly better damage, well, significantly better really, but it does take 6 defense off, and we really want Kairi to survive pretty much anything the enemy can throw at her, so I'm going to swap her around for the short sword. I should point out that Anadine starts with the maul, which has enormous damage with attack 70. She's going to be our strongest physical damage dealer, but she's a bit squishy at the moment, being only level 1, so I'll be using her more in a flanking or backup style. So I hope that's explained a little bit about setting up your party, which the game didn't do a great job of. If there's any questions or queries, leave it in the comments. We do have a full encyclopedia in the game which you can access, but I'm not going to show that at the moment. It's walls and walls of text with the useful bits hidden somewhere inside. And the last thing we're going to do is the maximum party size at the moment is 6, so I'm going to hire a generic recruit from the guild hall. Yes, I am in need of recruits. So you can essentially create a party member with up to any level that you have any of the other generic party members at, so currently that's 2, and any class that you've unlocked. So we're going to take a knight because we don't have one of those. The knight is essentially a very, very strong type of tank character. They can use abilities to absorb damage for allies, and reduce the amount of damage that they themselves take. So we'll take a knight. I think we'll just leave this colourful character in the random settings that they've generated us, and we'll make sure they're at the highest level, which is 2. It's going to cost us 1000 GP. Money isn't an enormous issue early on in the game. There's nothing else we can spend this on at the moment anyway, so happy to buy this recruit. So I'll briefly show the knight's abilities. So they start off with defend, so the character will take half damage from all attacks until the next turn, and also heals 0.4 mind. So if they're in a sticky spot or you've put them out into a position to block off the enemy, this is a very, very useful ability I've found to make sure they survive until your healers can get to them and support. I won't bother talking about the rest of the abilities, so we can't unlock those yet. What we should do is make sure she's equipped. So she comes with old armour, which is very nice. We can't even buy this at this point, but we will need to get her a weapon and a helmet. And I'll probably go for the short sword with her. We want to have her to have as high defense and HP as possible. Not primarily going to be a damage dealing character. So go back to our friend the shopkeeper. We're quite tired of our faces by now. I quite like this feature, the try and buy. This will let you essentially just equip directly onto the character from the shop. So we'll buy her a short sword and a circlet. And I think she can equip shield. Yes, you can equip a shield, so this is going to give her even better defense and a little bit of evasion, so she should be quite survivable, considering the enemies we're going to be up against. So I'm quite pleased with our party's loadout now, so I'll briefly save the game just in case anything goes terribly wrong. And we can continue on to the next encounter, see what happens at the crossroads. Kairi. Yes, I noticed. Notice what? What's happening, Captain? Stand back, Anadine. Oh, looks like they're hidden marauders in the trees. Spotted. Ah well, you Arbiters are every bit as sharp as they say. But much friendlier. Well met, friend. I think he's trying to defuse the situation. Don't think it's going to work, because this seems to be a scheduled battle. If you have business with us, then out with it. Otherwise, step aside. I like your eye patch. Of course, I will make it quick for you. Hand over that nobleman traipsing along at your heels, and everyone can be on their merry way, safe and sound. What a splendid idea. Safety and soundness first, exactly my own philosophy. But first, tell me, just what is it you want with our bejeweled guest? Funny you should ask. From what I've been hearing lately, I bet you Arbiters wouldn't mind a taste of this action yourselves, eh? Alright, here it is. This rich fop will pay us handsomely for his freedom. Hand him over and 20% of the fee is yours, to divide amongst yourselves. No one need ever know an Arbiter was involved in our little transaction. I get what I want, you get paid, and your reputation remains as spotless as Illister's peaks. Win-win. Is there a fourth win I'm missing? Well, what do you say? I don't know, Kairi. Only 20%? I hope he's joking. Captain? Enough! We haven't the time to exchange banter with these fools. As for you lot, attempted bribery, intimidation, interfering in Arbiter business, serious crimes, the kind that should see every one of you hanging from the trees. Get out of the way and I'll forget I ever saw your faces. That is my final and only counter-offer. Signal that you accept before I change my mind. Oh, of all the doomy luck, we just had to run into the one clean Arbiter within 100 leagues. Jump lively, boys. It looks like we must earn our prize today. No survivors and no witnesses. They seem cheerful about the prospect. Okay, so this could be our second battle. Quite a lot more complex than the first. We've got a number of enemies, 5 enemies here on the field. 2 highly trained, I presume, dogs. Now these dogs have quite high attack stats, but lower defense, so they're going to be a bit glass cannon-esque. I'm going to try and take them out first if possible. The mercenary chaps here are all only level 1, but they still have relatively decent stats. They can't be sniffed at. A general rule of thumb I've found is that your characters at this level can only take about 3 direct hits from an enemy without dying, so if they get into a poor position, you can easily lose a unit, so we're going to have to be quite careful. But first we'll bring out our party members, so our new knight, bring her up towards the front, and take out wizard and our mender, and start the battle. These dogs also have a very high speed stat, allowing them to move first. That's going to be a bit of an issue if they start to essentially lap us in the turn order. We're going to have to be careful that we don't miss them taking over one of our characters. So, as I say, Reiner has the crossbow. In a bit of a tight spot here, because if we try and move out beyond this natural choke point, we could quite easily get surrounded. And we also have this space here for the enemies to come around, so this would be a good defensive position, but we're not really going to have that option. We're going to sort of need to push out, so let me see if we press triangle here, we can see the maximum range of movement on all of our characters. So Anadine can only move up to just in front of the post, whereas Kyrie and Reiner can move out a little bit further. Equally, we can see the enemy's range of movement by selecting them. So I don't think we want to move Reiner quite as far out as here, because he's going to take a hit without being able to return it on this enemy. And dogs are going to be very close as well, so be a little bit conservative to start off, and probably just move Reiner ahead here. He's not in range to attack even with the crossbow, so we can wait for now. And we have a bit of dialogue. Anadine, why don't I give you a quick refresher on items? This is probably a fair point to make as the tutorial says, the items don't work as they do in most games, so whereas in a lot of games you can buy as many potions as you want and use them to your heart's content during the battle, the items in this game are essentially static, and it's by the number of uses per battle. So you can see here that we have potion 2, so that means we can use the potion twice in a battle and that's it. However, the item is not lost, it will regenerate for the start of the next battle. I think this is quite a good system actually, especially for this type of game. There's no point in just spamming potions, and it makes it much more strategic in terms of when you're going to decide to use a potion. Potions at this point are more powerful than the healing magic as well, so we do well to hold on to them until a good situation. So I'll go ahead with moving our units out here. Make sure they're turned towards the enemy. Sometimes I'd be concerned about getting hemmed in. If the enemy surrounds us, we won't be able to move our other units out, but I think we'll get a chance to expand on our essentially next turn. And as stated, so now that we've equipped Elementalism on our healer, she, at this stage at least, has the same magical attack abilities as our wizard does. As I say, those aren't going to level up unless she equips that as our primary class, but this is going to be a good bit of backup damage for certain situations. Enemies taking their turn here. As I'd hoped, they're not going to be able to hem us in. We'll need to decide the safest way to push out here, but we're going to have some breathing room. I'm not too concerned about anyone coming around the back here, because essentially our front line is going to be centred in this area and can move back if necessary, so we'll just push forward. I might be able to use magic attack on this enemy who's getting towards us. I will indeed, so the magic attack we've got at this stage is in a cross position. Without learning abilities later in the game, this will damage our own units as well, but fortunately in this case none of them are within the area of effect, so this won't do too much damage, but we'll get the battle started. 26, that's not actually too bad. And our new knight character here, so she has a fair amount of movement. I may actually push right out with her here. She's going to take some damage, potentially, if the enemy decides to attack her, but we can use the defend ability to make sure she takes as little as possible. Now Rhino's mentioned a sort of unique trait in this battle. He says, "Carry, do you mark that sizable trapdoor? I think they might have reinforcements waiting below." And this is the trapdoor highlighted. "Well spied. If one of us stands directly upon it, that should keep it sealed against any new enemies." "Agreed, but we must move quickly if we plan to secure it. They could strike at any moment." So, if we... This means that this tile here, if we have a character standing on this, it's going to prevent any enemies from opening the door and joining the battle. I do know that these sort of unique events in the battle will be shown on the turn order at the top of the screen with a sort of special icon. So I'm not too concerned about that happening now. If we do notice that, then I might move someone out there, but they're clearly going to be very vulnerable to attack by the enemy, especially getting flanked, so no reason to rush ahead at the moment. Now what I'll do, looking at the turn order, we've got Reiner, Kairi, Anadine and Lana taking their turn, but then 3 of the enemies. If we highlight the enemy, we can actually see them, their portrait highlighted in the turn order, so to get an idea of which enemies this is going to be. So first is going to be this chap with the sledgehammer. He's not going to be able to get anywhere near us in this turn, but we do have Knuckle and Isri. They're certainly going to get their turn within range of us. So we've got sort of a decision. We can either try and go after the dogs and take them down straight away, or we can go after these 2 mercenaries. I think at this stage we're going to have to just accept taking a relatively sizable amount of damage, but we're going to try and take down Isri before they get a chance to take their turn. Checking where Anadine can move to. We want to certainly block off the dogs from getting into our back line onto the healer and the wizard. So we want to sort of control this choke point as much as possible. Considering that, I think he should go down, and it could be 2 hits, it could be 3, so we're going to need to gamble a little bit here. I think we're probably going to... First of all, it's Reiner's turn. So, if he attacks with his crossbow, only 14 HP, so this is not really good to be honest. It's low because it's attacking the enemy face on rather than from the side or the back. How much HP has he got? It's down to 48, so I think with both Kairi and Anadine attacking him, he should die, and that will also block off this section at the same time. Going to be quite exposed to damage in return, but we're going to have to accept that and just heal up and try to decide what to do from there. So Kairi, I think, yeah, we'll move Kairi up here, and I'm not going to use Forceful Strike, so we'll use that on Anadine for reasons which will become apparent. So 20 damage on that enemy. Deciding which way to stand. It's 6.5 a dozen really. She's going to have her back and her flank exposed. I think facing this way will actually be better. Now if we move forward with Anadine, this is going to simultaneously sort of close off the choke point, and I'm attacking with the front deliberately because if we use the Forceful Strike, this is going to push this enemy into the dog, so they should both take damage, and this mercenary should actually take more damage because of that. So let's see. Yeah, 28 damage, so that's his exact HP, so as long as this hits, that should be a kill. That will be quite a nice start to this battle. Excellent, so that was a hit. We've taken out that first mercenary. And I think we'll have Anadine face this direction. So those other 2 mercenaries are going to take their turn. I'm not too concerned about anyone taking much damage, so I think we'll actually use Lana to try and use one of her spells, and I don't know how close we want to move her. If we move up here, what kind of range is she going to have? I'd rather not damage our own units, so I think we will move her up to that position. Not going to be able to hit multiple enemies no matter where we attack. One thing potentially should have referenced is that the enemies will show their resistance on their sort of character card here. So you'll see across from the fire symbol he's got -50, so that means he has essentially 50% less resistance to fire, so he should take quite a deal of damage from a fire spell. So let's see. And it's 25, so it's not too bad. Now that Thorns, that is the counter attack which the enemies use, so I believe it means that any physical attack on him he'll sort of counteract automatically with a small amount of damage from his, presumably his thorny back. Anadine's taking a small hit there. As I say, at this stage of the game, even an attack of 19 is pretty much a quarter of her HP, so you cannot let units fall too low. If these two dogs both attack her, then she could be in serious trouble. So I'm actually going to use Virtual. Well, there's a decision to be made actually. We could potentially get a good magic attack off here, damaging multiple enemies. Actually no, he's a bit too far back, so I think we'll stick with the safe option and just heal Anadine. Okay, so she's back to full health now with Rayfen. I'm tempted to have her just stay in position. I could attempt to move out, but well, I think in this case actually it would be better to move out. She is going to expose her flank, but we'll be in a better position to flank the enemy at the same time. So let's move her out here, and again we're still protecting our casters. She's going to attack for 14 HP. I probably want to get rid of this sledgehammer guy as quickly as possible. He's going to have very high DPS, so she might take a bit of a beating without using her defend ability, but in this case we want to wipe him out. Our dog friend has attacked Anadine. These are, as I say, these are quite high attack with 107. Actually doing more damage than the sledgehammer fellow in that case. So I'm going to have a choice here. Now there's a couple of enemies. Both of the dogs are at about 2/3 HP. Sledgehammer enemies still quite high. I think we should focus on trying to take this dog down first. Anadine and Rayfen could possibly defeat him just between the two of them, but I don't want to rely on that, so I think we'll use Reiner's crossbow. Kaede, I think, is just going to have to eat some damage. We'll certainly get someone to heal her during this, but she's going to have to probably remain flanked, to be honest, and just take this damage. It's quite a good hit from Reiner, actually. I think it's considered a flank to get the 25 HP damage there. And you saw the Thorns counterattack. It's only 4, so to be honest I'm not really too concerned about that. Now with Kairi we could move back to protect her flank inside. That might actually be the better idea, because if we're almost going to focus on defeating these two enemies, if we just hold a line here against the dog and this mercenary, then Kairi will take less damage and therefore require less healing, so in this case I might actually just get her to heal herself with the field aid. Yep, and then she can turn back and expose only her front to these enemies, so this could possibly work out better. Now with Anadine, it's just going to have to be a physical attack, but I'm hoping we can take out this dog. Yeah, if this hits, that's going to be 29, and then our knight character should be able to finish it off. And she should probably just remain looking this way. Okay, so Lana, let me see, do we need to heal anyone? Potentially Anadine. I think if we use Virgil on his next turn to hopefully get range to damage this dog and the mercenary, that would be ideal. So I think we'll just have Lana heal Anadine. So you might think this is sort of overhealing, but character can quickly be taken down if they take 2 to 3 hits from enemies, especially if their flank is exposed. So I believe, especially in the early game, keeping them above a half or 2/3 HP is desirable. Yep, they've targeted Anadine again. So Virgil, I'm hoping that we can use this fire attack now. This mercenary doesn't have any particular magic resistance, so no point in being concerned about that. This should certainly kill off CO the dog. CO later. Yes, that was good. And we've unlocked an achievement, Animal Control Officer. I don't think he has a license, but... Okay, so that's freed up Ray Fen, so let's think about what we want to do here. This dog is probably going to move around to attack Kairi from the front, although he does have the range to move all the way around to Ray Fen. Looking at the enemy list, so Zerethari is going to get their turn next. I don't see any way that Rayfen and Reiner can finish him off before he gets his turn. However, this enemy is still at full health, so I would probably like to move out with Reiner actually. Once we see where this dog is going to move. I sort of want to hem him in. Or should we just fully try and commit to attacking him? Okay, I think for now, just attack with Rayfen. Only 14 damage. Let me see what her flanking damage would be if it's considerably different. 18. It's really not a huge difference for the sake of that, so let's just keep our background protected. Oh, Reiner says, I can hear voices down below, we don't have much time if we plan to block that trapdoor. So you notice the symbol on the turn order, the little clock symbol. I don't think we can finish all these enemies off by then, but at least if we can have enough of them killed that we can just send a character out there to stand on it without too much fear of being killed, then consider that a win. Okay, so our doggy friend has moved around, strangely enough, to attack Anadine from the front. I thought they might have attacked Rayfen, but she would definitely want to get healed soon, and they've sort of exposed this side of their line. I think at this stage we'll probably move Reiner around. Let's see if we can get a flanking shot on this sledgehammer chap. Oh, we don't actually have range, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I think... Actually, let's focus the dog. Is that the right thing to do? This fellow's still at full health. Yeah, I think we'll just need to go a bit aggressive and focus on our animal control. I wonder if I should have left Rayfen in defensive mode rather than bothering to attack. Okay, I think these guys are pretty much on the retreat now, so I feel more comfortable to move out aggressively. We do want to finish this dog before he gets his next turn. Unfortunately, Kyrie isn't going to be able to get round to attack him, so next best thing would be to attack this chap from the back. Oh, Kyrie is leveled up, so just taking any actions such as attacking, casting spells, healing spells, or using items will improve, generate experience points, so you can level up mid-battle, which is always nice. And with Anadine, again, we're actually a bit hemmed in by these enemies ourselves. I perhaps should have moved Reiner a little bit further up to give us space, but in this case we're just going to have to attack Death Fuel from the front. Might have been better titled Death Dog, but never mind. And I'll use Forceful Strike actually to push out and generate a little space. We'll see where he goes after we do this. Anadine is also leveled up. And we can actually move with Anadine still. I'm not sure I want to do it. In fact, I think we'll move forward just to here. That'll mean that Knuckle can get into our healers, but he's not going to be able to do too much damage, and it's going to allow us a lot more space to move, so move forward with Anadine. And I think we use Lana definitely to heal Anadine. It's only going to gain 70, so she'll still be at about 2/3 of HP, but I think she should survive the coming damage. I'm starting to get a little bit worried about this timed event on the trapdoor. I'm not actually sure we're going to be able to block it. Oh, we are, so I'm going to just have to rush with Rayfen. That's quite fortunate actually that she has decent movement, so no matter what, she's going to need to move up here to block these enemies. She'll actually get a nice hit on our sledgehammer friend as well. Our health is down to 53. There's a small chance that she could be killed, but I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, so enemies are all kind of split up just now. They do tend to retreat once they've been damaged. I think that's because in some battles they can have a healer, so they're sort of following that behaviour to fall back to be healed, but in this case they, unfortunately for them, don't. But it does mean that we'll need to chase them down a little bit to clean them up. So in this case, Anadine really needs to be healed. So does Rayfen. It's a decision between damaging and healing Anadine essentially. I think we'll actually just push forward and kill off this dog, because he could become a little bit annoying running around. Yep, fire should certainly defeat him in one attack. Now with Reiner here, we've got Reiner, Kiri and Anadine all coming up with their attack. Now can we kill both of these enemies in one turn? It's possible if we... I wonder if Anadine will be able to reach him for a flank. She can get him for a flank attack. That's possibly going to kill him, or we can use Kyrie from behind. This is quite a difficult decision actually, because Kyrie doesn't have fantastic attack at the moment, 98 compared to Anadine's 120. To be honest, it's just a toss-up which technique would be better. Either way, I can't afford more than one attack on this guy if we're going to finish it off in this turn, so we'll use Reiner to attack this enemy from behind. And cause 22 damage. Oh my, so you can see the damage from that sledgehammer. Virgil's in pretty serious trouble, down to 24 HP after just taking a few hits. I'm still confident that we can try and finish this off. If not, Lana can heal up Virgil certainly as a priority. Now, that was quite smart from the AI actually, because it means we can't get a read attack on sledgehammer enemy anymore, so in this case I'm tempted to just take a read attack on this one and let Anadine deal with the other. Okay, so let's see how this works out. Crossing my fingers that this is going to kill him in one attack. And it should, 31 HP, so he's been taken down. Don't underestimate Anadine's hammer. And can we just finish this guy? I'm not sure. I'm worried he would have just enough strength to take out Virgil, but well, it's giving us 21 damage, so let's try it. Excellent, so that wiped them out. And that's victory. So as explained, you see on the ability point screen here, the total for all participants is the value that the all party members who've survived will gain for their primary job, but you'll see the vicarious learning means that you'll gain that amount of AP for every job that the character has unlocked, so it's going to add up over time, especially if you go back to repeat battles for fun. And we did receive a heavy crossbow, which is excellent, so certainly going to equip that on Reiner. So I think we'll just play out this cutscene before finishing off this section. This used to be an inn, quite a prosperous one if I remember right. Burned down on a marauder attack last year. And no arbiters nearby to prevent it. You allude to that scoundrel's claim about arbiters taking bribes. Nothing but a desperate attempt to talk their way out of a fight. I don't believe a word of it. And yet here we are, dragging that foppish nobleman around because we can't quite trust the local chapter house. That's a long enough break. We need to keep moving if we're to reach Illister before nightfall. I'll make sure everyone's ready. Do you need a breather after that, Anadine? I guess it can't hurt if we're not in a rush. Thanks, Captain. As this stating that occasionally a node on the world map will be marked with a exclamation symbol indicating that an optional character event is available. So I think we'll start off with that event on the next episode, but that should do for now, so thanks for watching and hopefully see you next time.